This is the beginning of a series of videos we're doing on workplace violence and the insurance implications associated with this business risk. Today we're going to focus on the costs of a workplace violence incident or event. Let's start with the fact that not all workplace violence takes the form of an active shooter situation. There are varying degrees of violence that take place in the workplace environment. Anything from bullying and fistfighting and intimidation are all forms of workplace violence, which can escalate all the way up to knife fights, gun threats, and even bomb threats. What we may see on the nightly news is really only a fraction of the workplace violence occurring across America almost every day. The first are human costs, which come in the form of loss of life, serious injuries, mental distress to those employees, guests, visitors, and customers on the premises during the event, as well as the costs extended to the families of those directly affected. For example, the family of a woman killed during a shooting at work, who is the family breadwinner, will suffer long-term financial hardship from the loss of that breadwinner. Then there are the business financial costs, both hard dollar and soft indirect costs. These can be a wide range of expenses incurred by a business as a result of an actual or threatened event. Here, you're talking about the costs associated with the business response to a workplace violence event. Things like crisis management consultants, increased costs for temporary security, and the legal costs which may stem from the event. Then there are the consequential costs a business will incur or suffer following an event. Things like business interruption, the loss of revenue and productivity following a violent event in the workplace. Depending on the severity of an event, there likely will be a voluntary shutdown of operations, at least for a short period of time. That could be a day or two, it could even be a month or two. That shutdown may be forced for crime scene investigations, or it could be what I call a fear-based shutdown. Your employees refuse to show up for work out of fear that violence may happen again, and they don't want to be caught in the middle of it. Regardless of how long either of these situations last, your business is going to lose daily production value or daily revenue. We'll talk about standard business insurance policies in the next video on why workplace violence isn't covered by business interruption insurance and why workplace violence isn't covered by business interruption insurance. Then an affected business will experience loss of productivity, decreased employee morale, and employee retention problems as the firm goes through the recovery process. These will all impact earnings. There will be ongoing salaries for victims and their replacement workers, medical, dental, mental health expenses for employee victims of workplace violence. We'll also cover this in the next video, why workers' comp may not respond to all these claims. Then you've got recuperation expenses for victims and relatives, loss of life benefits to the victims of an event, grief counseling, funeral expenses, trauma care, and the list goes on. Depending on the severity of an event, these costs will add up to some significant uninsured loss and make recovery, stabilization, and growth difficult even for high-performing companies. In my next video, we'll talk more about what workplace violence insurance is and how does it respond to these types of costs and why standard business insurance policies are not built to respond to these events and costs. Have specific questions about workplace violence or business insurance in general? Give me a call or book a call using the link below in the description box below. I work with businesses of all types and sizes, and I look forward to answering your questions or issues. Thanks.